What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the XXL Podcast, Coffee with a Stranger. This is number 5, I believe. So it's going to be quite an interesting one. I'm going to invite one of my mates on, Max Rayner. So I guess he's not too much of a stranger. But he is super interesting guy. Done loads of cool things with him. And he's now in property development. And I thought what a really cool opportunity to understand actually what's happening within current climate, but also then kind of the reflux of this, which might be market crashes, stuff like that, where he kind of sees that going and obviously what that means for him. So let me just let him in. There we go, he's in. Hey, how are you doing, mate?
How you doing? Yeah, good. How are you?
Yeah, good. Really good.
Is this the new look?
Yeah, this is the furlough look. If you've been furloughed.
In the gym, you're going to be wearing that as well, yeah?
Yeah. It might get in the way a little bit. I have to flatten the back for a little bench or something like that. But yeah, how you been?
You look good with a mankini on.
Look good with nothing on. I'll just have the hat.
Oh, right.
How you doing, Drew?
I'm not too good, mate. I'm not too bad, mate. Max, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good. How do you boys know each other?
So, yeah, go on, Drew.
Go on, Josh. I obviously know Josh. I went to school with Louise.
Okay, cool.
So me and Louise have been really good mates for years. And yeah, obviously I met Josh through Louise, and it was love at first sight, really. So yeah.
It's bromance straight away.
Yeah, it certainly was.
Who doesn't love it, man?
How you been?
Well, yeah, there is that.
I've been alright. I'm living on my own at the moment. So first of all, I thought this is a really good idea. But second, I was like, I jumped at it. It's like I've just been sitting at home on my own. All I can do is work, really.
Yeah.
I've lost shit. I've lost weight. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in because I'm doing. I'm eating really well. I'm doing like a 10K pretty much every morning with a couple of days off in between. So I didn't do one today. I had a lie-in. Diet's good. Yeah, it's actually been like in terms of routine productivity, it's been great. It's just I miss when it gets to the evening, if I'm not working, quite often I work till 12 midnight. If I'm not working, I'm just sitting there getting a bit twitchy because I like being around people.
Yeah. It's really because I was thinking is it Sean that lived with you or still lives with you? But
yeah, but basically his step mum and dad and his dad lived down in Brighton, so he was down there when it was all kicking off, and he just said to me, look, whilst we're in lockdown, I'm just going to stay down here with my family. And I was like, I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I was thinking about moving back in with my mum and my sister for the company, but then my sister, we reckon Ella had it.
Oh, really?
I'm going to go, yeah, it barely touched her.
Yeah.
We reckon she had it. She just lost her sense of taste and smell, and he was a bit shivery for a few days.
Yeah.
Apparently it's quite common in younger people for you to lose your senses and just have flu-like symptoms. She didn't have any coughing or breathing problems.
Yeah.
So I hung back, and then by the time I got into a routine here, I actually thought, do you know what? I am so in the zone at the moment with work. It's a joke. I don't actually, although it'd be nice to hang around with my mum and my sister, I don't want to get out of this little creative zone that I'm in at the moment. So I'm getting up, working, sleeping, and I think they'll distract me, to be honest.
Yeah. And have you, with my family and stuff like that, I've done the odd trip, over to the house, but kind of just sit in the garden.
I'm doing that.
Yeah. Because you can kind of because you're, 5-10 minutes away drive. So it's not a huge, you're not fast going. There was a point actually when obviously where I live, Max, and Drew, you haven't been to my house yet, have you?
No.
No. Okay, we'll get that sorted out when it's all over.
Yeah.
We'll get it over.
We'll get that.
It's a half an hour distance from where me and Lou are living now, and then where I actually my mum and dad live. So when I started driving, I felt guilty for driving, and it was a bit of a weird sensation because I was you're obviously being told you shouldn't do any other travel and stuff. I felt guilty, and I thought, this feels a bit weird.
I think the first few times I went out, it felt a bit weird and a bit like rebellious, but I'm sort of used to it now. I don't think there's anything wrong with nipping over to your family's house here and there.
No, yeah, and the thing is, like, a lot of the things is just being smart with it. Like you said, like, sitting in the garden, the other side, you're not near them, so it's fine. But you can have a conversation. And actually, like, that's why me and Drew started this. Is pure for the fact of we were kind of like talking to each other. Actually, we were for quite like almost a month. Like, we didn't really talk much, and then I was like, look, fancy getting on a call and stuff like that. And then we did it, and then we thought, actually, it'd be really cool to just start like almost podcasting, but just chat to anyone. Like, I don't even know. Like, we'll just invite it. Obviously, you saw that post and just put it out to everyone.
I thought it was good. I think you can. I think you could push that after lockdown as well.
Yeah.
It needs to be like, it's like lockdown started it, but it didn't need to be. It doesn't need to be like purely lockdown. Just a coffee with a stranger. It could be anyone. You could meet some really interesting people, mate.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing, and that's why I kind of initially put it out on LinkedIn, was because I was like, this is like, you got people that potentially are going to be like, I don't know, for instance, like some of the guys that I'm connected with is like the CEO of Grenade and stuff like that. Not saying that he's going to be like, oh yeah, I saw your post now, come on. But like, it takes one person to be like it, share it, and then it kind of spans out a little bit. And like you said, you can get some real like interesting people. Look, we might get like someone who you just think this is like the oddest conversation, but it's really good to have that kind
of thing. You probably still want to have you still want to have some sort of theme, I think. Just you need to be able to rein it in when it needs reining in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that you need to push any particular conversation with any particular person just because you get a CEO on. Doesn't mean they necessarily need to talk about business, because you could probably look them up on YouTube and find them talking about business. They could be talking about a completely different area of their life, and it could give a completely different span of an insight to what they do.
Yeah.
Get that's person really on. You can get homeless person, you get police officer, you could get like personal trainer, athletes, like literally anyone.
Yeah. And I think that's the cool thing, is the, like, the diversity to it, but also, like you said, is we could talk to you or kind of a person about actually physically, like, kind of what they're doing for work and stuff like that, but they might really want to be talking about something that they're looking to do that's like no one knows about, but it gives them a chance to kind of talk about it, span out some ideas, kind of brainstorm a bit and stuff like that.
Yeah. I still think you should, you still need like a set. You need a bareback structure, though. You do need like a few go-to questions that you can draw back a conversation if it is completely going off on like a weird tangent.
Yeah, definitely. I think the kind of the thing that we've been running with is currently like the situation of the world. Like, it's a conversational topic. Like, how's it affecting people? Like, for you, like, the one thing that I really wanted to get you on is obviously, talk about what you do. So then obviously everyone knows about whoever watches it. But then also like what your thoughts are going forward and like how that's going to affect the market, etc. Mm-hmm. The fact of it could be opinion based, it could be factual based, it could be whatever. But people might watch it and generally be like, okay, maybe I'll hold off, because you're advising them, or you kind of give them just a small nugget that suddenly for them they're like, wow, okay, I've got a much clearer mind in where things might be going, or I feel that's a good bit of information that I'm going to hold on to that, and I'll just wait, or maybe I'll push forward.
And who wouldn't trust a guy that holds a mug with a pug on it under the mistletoe?
Yeah.
In
lockdown.
You don't need to do research. That's enough. That's it. That's the real deal.
That's a trustworthy man if I've ever seen one.
Exactly. Drew's got his Game of Thrones mug, which changes as you put water in, so like it changes the colour of the actual mug.
I've made myself an iced coffee today.
Big old mug.
It's big mug.
I've made myself an iced coffee, so it's not changed.
That's pretty big, that. Look at that.
Yeah, you've got big mugs.
It's like an insult. You got a big mug.
So all my mugs are free. They're like gifts and stuff.
Yeah. They're like,
to be fair, this was a present from Josh, so.
Yeah, actually, you do. Yeah,
that was a good Christmas. That was my Christmas present.
Yeah. So
and an egg cup.
What's that?
The main Christmas present.
Yeah, I also got an egg cup in the shape of the Iron Throne, so
Yeah.
there's a bit of a theme here. But yeah.
There was a point when we bought that and I thought, Drew probably doesn't even like eggs. No. I think that'd be a crap present. But I knew you like
I love eggs. I just can't remember the last time I had a hard-boiled egg. But it's all good. We move. Yeah.
So Max, talk to us about like your, again, this is not wrong, right, or whatever, like your kind of take on the situation. Like what have you thought of it? Like, have you got any opinions on it or anything?
I do.
Like
I've got loads of opinion.
Oh, I love this. Okay, I'm good for this.
It's obviously a terrible situation. You know, there's, however you believe that this thing started, it's there and it's real. I hate watching videos of, you know, that first of all, people that all are qualified doctors and science.
Sharon on Facebook.
Know, shut the fuck up, right? It's there and it is real. So, first of all, I'm taking precautions, so I'm not doing anything I shouldn't be doing. Washing my hands regularly, and you know, sort of keeping one quarter of an eye on what's going on. Apart from that, I don't watch the news. I don't look at all the updates because most of it's just scaremongering, and you know, we know the severity of the situation. It's completely out of my control anyway. So all I can do is prevent myself from getting it and other people. Next, move on. Don't let thoughts muster up about it. What might or might not happen. Okay. Yeah. Also, if you look at the stats for younger people, I mean, I'm in my mid-20s, you know, again, yes, I think younger people can be affected, but we are also not the highest risk people. So I'm pretty comfortable with it. Now I'm seeing it as an opportunity. There are so many people that are looking at this as a holiday, right? There are so many people that are putting their feet up, playing FIFA, you know, whizzing stupid amounts of memes across WhatsApp groups, which are great and they are funny, but that's all they're doing with their time. Now, I think this is a huge opportunity to reflect, to look at yourself in terms of the whole of your life. What have you been doing the last few years? Where are you going? Are you happy with that? You know, what would you change? Is there any new skills that you want to learn? Literally pick apart yourself and then set some goals moving forward. That's number one. And then number two, you know, this isn't a holiday. Don't sit around. Keep in your routine. Get up. Put a diet plan in place. Exercise. Because that's going to keep your brain healthy. It's hard enough sitting in a house all day anyway. So if they're doing nothing, that's when I think all the mental health and the depression and all that sort of stuff kicks in. So I think that no matter what industry you're in, I think for, like, anyone needs to do that just to keep themselves going, right? And actually, if you look at the positive of that, setting a solid routine is the easiest thing to do right now because there are zero distractions. You've not got people calling you to go to the pub. You've not got people arranging to go to restaurants. You've not got birthdays and family events to attend. You've got no distractions. So get yourself into the solid habits now, which you would know all about from your gym stuff. Get those habits set now, so when the distractions do come around after lockdown, you're in a more powerful position to say yes or no and actually understand the impact that making that decision to go and do that thing would have on your goals and what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
That's my take on just how people should behave. In terms of my industry, so for those of people that are watching this that don't know,
I'm an intro.
I'm a property developer, speaker and coach. I not only invest in property, but I coach people and I teach people how to do it as well. We work with all sorts of investors. We work with all sorts of professionals across the industry. And I have a company called Stuart Clinton Property, which was built. It's not actually, you'd be thinking, what, your name's not Stuart. Well, me and my business partner went for a bit of a sad time prior, back in the day. Both of our dads passed away, so we decided it would only be right to leave a legacy and name the company after them, and that's sort of our legacy and our motivator and our drive. We have a range of buy-to-let, so single-let properties, and we also operate in the HMO market and the large HMO market. For those people that don't know what a HMO is, it's a house of multiple occupancy, which means if you take a house, most people, you know, most amateurs or most people that don't know much about property investing just think it's about putting your money in a house and renting it out to a family, which is great. But to squeeze more money out of it, and if you do it properly, you can actually rent the rooms within the house out for a lot more money. And if you get it right, it can be very profitable. There are a lot more legislation, and there are a lot more restrictions in place for that. But if you get it right and you have the right teams, it's great. So we do that, and we do it on a large scale. So, you know, anything from 5 rooms to the current property we're working on at the moment, it's got 15 rooms. If you want my opinion on the property market and investment in general, you just need to turn to the great leaders and the gurus that have been here before. You know, this is where I would look at people like Warren Buffett, Grant Cardone, Richard Branson, and start looking at the advice that they've given. Because if you look at these guys, and especially Warren Buffett talks about it a lot, in the biggest recessions is where the most millionaires are made. And I believe that this is going to be the buying opportunity of the decade. So now, from an investor's perspective, certainly in property, it's not the time to fuck about and put your feet up. It's the time to get your ducks in a row, get your teams in place. So when these sort of opportunities come around, you're ready to go. Because at the moment, you're probably going to be buying, you know, look, we don't know if the property market is going to take a 10% dip, a 20% dip, a 30% dip, which some are speculating. We don't know. No one knows. It might not even take a dip. I would see it as unlikely because of the amount of financial pressure that people are under at the moment. So, you know, anyone from someone that's lost their job to a landlord with a big portfolio that they're struggling to maintain, from a CEO that's got a few investments to an accidental person that's had someone pass away and they've inherited a property, anyone that needs cash because they're struggling at the moment is going to look at what assets they can sell. And with less buyers coming on, because people are going to be scared to buy at the moment, the majority of home buyers aren't going to look to do anything right now because they're scared. They're run by the media. They're run by, the property market's going down. We don't want to sell and buy now. So what you're probably going to see is a lot more property on the market available for purchase and less buyers looking to buy. Supply and demand, and that's what's going to bring the market down. Now, I think that the property market will drop a lot slower than stocks and shares. They tend to drop overnight. I think there's going to be a few deals as soon as lockdown's finished. I think there's going to be a few deals to be had, and that's going to be the first wave. And then what you're going to have in 6 months' time is all of the people that have spent their money, their savings are gone, they've used all of their resources. There's then going to be another wave as a load more property comes on, as people are looking for money down that line. And you know, companies are going to start making cuts and all that sort of stuff. It takes a little bit of time for that to circulate into the economy and for property prices to go down. So for the educated and for the people that know what they're doing, I think it's an amazing opportunity. And I'm working every single day, every hour around the clock to make sure I've got my teams in place to have a slice of some of this pie that I think is about to come.
Yeah.
And, well, I've rattled all of that off. That's probably what you get on your own.
That was perfect. Like literally, it's exactly how I wanted it to kind of like understand and get people to know, one, what you do, but also the theory behind it and kind of what potentially is going to happen. I think it will be super interesting, like you said, is that kind of lag effect of when people are potentially leaving their job or lost their job, because I think the furlough is only going to go so point, and then there's going to be a point where companies are like, well, look, the government's not giving us the money, you're out. Like, we can't afford you anymore. And then
did you not see yesterday that they're reducing the furlough?
Oh, are they?
I think it was extended till June, and I think it's going to be 60% now.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting.
So,
you just need to apply some common sense to this. Look at leisure and tourism.
Yeah.
And events and hospitality. There are going to be so many.
The last thing.
That are just, they're the last things to open. They're the least important, right? So, you know, essential services and essential businesses are going to be the ones that are probably going to get out of this first.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. You know,
All the best things I've ever had.
Is all I'm craving right now.
Oh my God. Oh, dear me.
But they haven't opened the one up near us.
Watford?
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, Watford. That's
one of my mates travelled an hour apparently to go and get one. And I was like, what? Where is this one that's open? He's like, I travelled an hour to go and get it. It was like in Essex or something.
I know KFC have been opened sort of in and around. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. I don't know how I've managed to get onto fast food restaurants.
I think lots of restaurants are going to be fine.
Yeah.
I worry about the smaller restaurants. I worry about the family-owned businesses that, that just have that one restaurant and that's everything they've got. And I hope that the government is giving them help because, even if lockdown's lifted, can you see how people are aware of all this social distancing now? Can you see everyone just flooding into a restaurant first thing? No.
And if you are in the restaurant, there's going to be that, I think they say it's like 50 capacity, 50%.
Yeah,
so then,
they're dropping it back.
That's what they're doing in Sweden, isn't it?
Yeah, so then is it a point where suddenly actually the margins of actually opening, you're just getting by because the amount of like produce you're buying in versus actually selling out, like your actual margin on top, like profit is like nothing. Or it'll be very fine, like it'll be marginal to be able to pay staff. I don't know.
It's the same for Josh. How you and I know each other through the skiing industry. Look at all the UK indoor snow centres. These places cost thousands and thousands to run.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine that the first thing on someone's mind after lockdown is I better take the family to the local snow and have a ski.
Yeah. I'll tell you who would is Warren. Warren would be one of the first up.
Yeah, there are a few diehards that I assume that would, but it's going to be interesting. So that sector, leisure, tourism, hospitality, events. Don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of businesses going bust.
What do you think? The first things, looking at some of the other countries and stuff like that, it's been a bit of an oddball situation. Like you've got hairdressers opening, I can understand that maybe. Then you've got other ones which would be more like garden centres that are opening. Then you've got bookshops.
I mean, hairdressers, I think, is a bit of a fucking joke, to be honest with you. Like everyone's saying, oh yeah, the barbers are going to be rammed. The barbers are going to be rammed, which just goes to show if they are,
don't open them.
How crazy this is, that the most important thing at the end of all of this
is getting a skin fade.
Is go and get a fucking haircut.
Exactly that, yeah.
I mean, my hair is a joke. It's, it's as long as it's ever been, but it's going to be my priority, I can get, until I'm seen out in public and I'm back going to events again and I'm going to these do's and restaurants and local places. I don't care if my hair's cut or not.
Yeah.
Go on, Josh, get your barnet out.
What's that?
Get your barnet out, mate.
Get my barnet out. Luke cut that.
There you go.
I ain't got to worry. I'm good. I'm golden. I'm Gucci.
Yeah.
That's easy.
It's very, very odd. Like when I've looked at, like, I think it's Austria, they had like garden centres was like one of them, which I guess is like the B&Q that's now open and stuff like that. And then they've looked at, I think Italy was like bookshops and kids' clothes.
Yeah.
I kind of understand like the kids' clothes because I'm like, well, maybe they're growing out, they're growing fast. It's a period that maybe, you're getting a bit, short legs now. You've got the old like shorts basically rather than long trousers. But what is really deemed essential? They were saying about obviously the schools are closed and they're potentially reopening, and they said that it made like a 0.2 on the R scale of a difference, and it was like 2 to 4% on the numbers of a difference, which to me is like it's nothing really. I mean, to me, like it could be a massive thing. Like this is just my opinion. I think it's not really much, but it's a very I can't predict where this would go. Normally I kind of have a hunch and I'm like, and I'm fairly good to kind of judge the situation, but I can't see where the government are almost holding their cards so close. I wouldn't have a clue what would be some of the first things.
Which is again why I think it's almost pointless trying to predict it, to be honest. I think, it's nice having an opinion on it, but this is where you just got to go into your hermit shell and just do you and do this and focus on yourself. I really do. I think you've got to be selfish here.
Yeah.
And just do, whatever industry you're in, you may need to adapt. You may need to change the direction that you're going in. There's a lot of people that are moving online now, and I think online's now more important than ever. But I just think it's almost pointless trying to predict it and trying to understand it and just letting it happen and just doing what you can to make sure your situation's okay.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of leads on to like kind of the mental health, like you said when you were talking about what you do and like your opinion on like coping, is like this for a lot of people. I think has been a real testament. I admire people actually like yourself, Max, who generally are on your own, and you might be having Zoom calls and stuff like that, but it still having that physical contact of meeting someone in physicality, just like kind of in another room, is a massive thing. And I saw.
Don't get me wrong, mate. Sorry, go on.
I was going to say I've seen a lot of like kind of the people who I follow on Instagram who are like influencers. They've got millions of followers, but yet there's this one girl, Jen Settler. You probably know her with like Dan Bilzerian a lot and stuff like that. But she is in a flat, I think in like Miami or LA or something like that, on her own. And she was in tears. She was like, I've got all these followers, but really I don't have anyone actually with me. And like the mental health of that side was really a big struggle. I think it's going to be devastating.
Well, that opens a whole new topic on the issues of social media at the moment, and how I don't think it's very beneficial for people's mental health. I think it's even worse for the people with all these followers, all these people with millions and millions of followers that little young people are trying to emulate and copy. They're so unhappy, these people. But it looks like their life's great. But that's another topic. On the discussion of being on my own, don't get me wrong. I've had experiences of anxiety spikes over this period for sure. Like I'm an overthinker. So when I spend a lot of time on my own, if I'm not working and I'm not busy, my brain is just conjuring up scenarios that I have to try and rein in.
Yeah.
And I've developed tinnitus, which is a ringing in your ears.
Yeah, it's like a clicking, isn't it?
It's different for different people.
Yeah.
I had it before lockdown. This is the first time I've spoken about it, actually. I had it before lockdown, but lockdown has made it a lot more
aware in your mind, like kind of.
Yeah, like it's just constant, like it's like a constant high pitched ringing. Which when I'm out and about in the day and I'm doing stuff, I can't hear it, but I can sit there every evening. And I'm not with anyone. I'm not doing anything, and it's just going like that. It's fucking annoying. So that I would say that even though I'm busy and I'm mentally okay, I think that I've definitely experienced some anxiety spikes and some symptoms of other shit that I've got going on, and we've all got shit being blown a little bit more out of proportion because you've got time to sit there and think about it all the time. Yeah. And I think that's that's going to be a big problem with a lot of people that have got furloughed. With people that run their own company and have a structure and have goals, they can continue like normal to an extent, right? But people that have just been furloughed and have got nothing to do and they're just sitting there, I think anyone with any underlying issues mentally, this is going to be blown up massively because they've got all day to sit there and think about it.
Yeah. I think it's a really good point. Is everyone, this is really going to kind of shine through probably some realistic things that people have maybe swept under the carpet or not really addressed. That now, like you said, if you're not working on your own business and you've got no ability to, it's a perfect time to start something for sure. Like
contact you and at least get a fitness plan in place. I think from one of the things that I've learned is if everything else is falling around behind you, if I've had a couple of rough months in business and we've lost some money or a deal's not going how we want it to go, the one thing that's kept me through is clinging on to a fitness routine.
Yeah. That's just control side of it.
I don't just mean a routine, I mean an actual goal. Not just I need to do these exercises every day, but this is what I weigh now and this is what I want to weigh in 3 months' time. This is how quickly I run a mile now. This is how quickly I want to run a mile in a few months' time. Or train for something. And that's kept me going when I couldn't see the light at the end of anything else.
Yeah. Have you found that like your routine might get slightly shaken up? So like say you get to a point you're like, you know what, like I'm feeling a little bit burnt out. You're like, right, you know what, I'm going to go out for a run. Or is it very structured in terms of at this time I run, at this time I work? Has there been a point where you're being created?
So every morning, my routine so far, every morning I wake up at 6 a.m. Every now and then, and I used to beat myself up at this, and I don't anymore. I'm comfortable with it. Every now and then I might lie in till about 9.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, fuck's sake, Max, and give myself a hard time and be like, why'd you do that, you pussy? And, you should have got up. Whereas now, it's like your body needs it, and it's okay to do that every now and then and skip a little bit of your routine every now and then. But in the main, I get up at 6 a.m. I get straight out of bed and I walk downstairs, and then I've got a queue of supplements that I take, from like omega-3 tablets, multivitamin, which have become more important to me to take now because I want to make sure my immune system's built up. So I take supplements, and then I either make a coffee or a cup of tea, and then I go back up into bed and I drink my tea whilst reading a book for 20 minutes. And I read 10 pages of a book per day. That's my goal, because I know that, roughly speaking, if most books are around 300 pages, that's a book a month, which is been good going. And then I've got like a goal map on the wall that I just read, and I like just visualize and do all of that. And then I've got some affirmations, which some people feel a bit silly doing, and I did feel silly doing them to begin with, but it's just some statements that I read over and over again 3 times every morning to just set the beliefs.
Yeah.
And it's, I am this, I will be there. It's never I will, it's I am this, I am that, I am, and you start to believe it.
Yeah.
Once I've done that, the running stuff goes on, and I'm out the door, and I'll go and do a 10K. I then come back and finish off with some sit-ups, some press-ups, and some other little bits on a mat. I then do 10 minutes of Headspace, which is like a guided meditation app.
Yep.
And I'll have breakfast, have a shower, and then I'm sitting down to work. And to me, that's so important, because if you're not owning the start of your day, if I look back at my best days, they're when I've started in control. My worst days are when I'm lagging behind, I skip a few things out, I don't quite start properly, and then the whole day is behind.
Yeah. And when you were starting this, some people like do it differently. I personally am someone where I will set reminders to go and do something at a certain point. So like you said, with like vitamins and kind of everything like that for the immune system, you can't really see it here, but I've got like a full shelf just full of them.
Yeah.
And there's points where if I don't set that reminder, I'll be so just doing my thing, and they'll be like, oh, I haven't taken them. Where like, I set loads of alarms, that's my point. I do that at that time, I do that at that.
Okay. I get that, and that works for you. See, I don't do that. I do it all first thing, and I just cram everything in my body at the beginning, and then I don't worry about it for the rest of the day. And then I kind of like my evening to be my own, because everyone needs downtime every day. If I fall behind, I end up like taking supplements and running in the evening and all that sort of stuff. So I like to get all of my routine done at the beginning of the day, and then that gets me up for the day that I'm in control of, and I can do what I want. Yeah, sometimes if it gets a bit much, to answer your question earlier, I'll just bolt out the door for another run if I feel like I've got a lot of energy and, I just need to get out for a bit, or a walk or something. But apart from that, it's all done in the morning. And I've experimented doing both. I've experimented trying to do it in the evening, trying to do it at lunchtime. Doesn't work for me. I've got to do it in the morning.
Yeah. And have you found, I'll just have a reminder saying we've got 5 minutes left, so we're all good. Have you found that the weather has affected you much? But obviously the weather's been incredible, and then we had that kind of week of rain where, but I found that the first bit of good weather, I was outside and I was kind of really just kind of lapping up that little bit of sun, and then it rained, and then it made me reassess, like, okay, right, what do I kind of refocus again? And then when it came back around to the good weather, I'm like, yeah, it's fine, like the weather can do what it wants, but I'm still focused on what I'm doing. Like, I found that's kind of...
I mean, I'm a sun worshipper, so I definitely appreciate turning up and lathering the oil up and going out in the sun garden, but I try and do both, because it's important to be outside and spend time outside. So I would say, for example, go, right, it's sunny today. Let's get your emails done in the morning, or your admin done in the morning, because the sun's weak. And then at lunchtime, if you want to go and sit outside, make your phone calls outside. Do any work that you can do outside whilst enjoying the weather. And that's kind of how I'm doing it. So what is it, 11 o'clock now? I know that I've got an hour, 2 hours to get some stuff done. Then I've got a conference call with my business partner. I can sit in the garden and do that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I'm doing it, because I do want to enjoy the weather. And part of having your own company isn't enslaving yourself. You still need to be disciplined, but it's not like you can't do that. It's like, well, figure out a way that you can do both. And then if it's raining, you're like, you're more motivated to sit inside and get work done, because you're like, it's going to be sunny next week. So find somewhere,
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, we've got 3 minutes and 30 seconds left. So why don't we wrap it up with, what would you say, like, Drew's been doing a really good thing with like each of the guests, where basically saying, what's 3 things or like a couple of tips that you'd say to people just to get them through the next however long. We don't even know how long it is.
Thanks, Josh. Yeah. Glad I could input.
Like I said earlier in the call, routine. If you're not in a routine, get in one. Like you have good days and bad days, right? And routine is what's going to get you through the bad days, because it's something to cling on to. It's something that's familiar if things are going wrong. 2, reach out to people and talk. This is amazing. So reach out to these boys and have a conversation on here. Just reach out to friends, family. Don't do it over WhatsApp and Instagram. Pick up the fucking phone. It's so much more healthier to have a conversation with someone as opposed to over text. And 3, I just think, like I say, don't compare. Don't watch the news. Don't look at what's going on in other countries. Stop looking at these headlines that are putting the UK in the limelight. Take precaution, and then just brush it to the side, because it's here whether we like it or not. So you can either sit there and worry about it, and the same thing's going to happen. You're probably not going to get it if you look at the likelihood and you're taking precautions. Or sit there and not worry about it, be productive, and come out swinging when we're allowed out.
Yeah. Brilliant. Mate, thank you so much for coming on.
Max, what was your company's name again?
Yeah.
Stuart Clinton Property.
Sweet. We'll put all the stuff in the description and wherever we
Anyone
Max
is your man.
If you need any little promo bits or logos or like website links, just send me a WhatsApp or an email of what you need and I'll ping it over.
Yeah, no worries. I will do that pretty much straight up.
Well, I enjoyed that, boys. Good luck with this endeavour. Are you going to plan with this to bang it onto like Spotify and stuff down the line?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, at the moment it's just like smashing it up on YouTube, and then I'm going to start putting it actually up on LinkedIn, Facebook, like literally just everywhere, really. And then like whether we kind of do Spotify or SoundCloud or iTunes, everything really. The more,
Sweet.
the more
Thanks a lot for having me on. I think it's a great idea, and I wish you good luck. Send me the edit when it's done, and ping me an email, and I'll send you all the stuff from me.
Sweet, awesome, mate. Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Cheers, mate.